Welcome back to Guru Beauty. I am Jody and today I'm sharing with you my very favourite powders. These are powders that have stood the test of time in my beauty routine. I have oily combination skin. My nose regularly will get oily throughout the day and across my sort of T-zone, that's not unusual. I also at the age of 40 am concerned with sort of anti-aging concerns. So things like pores, things like fine lines, anything that's sort of smoothing and helps me look radiant and, you know, lit from within are going to be good things in a makeup product for me. So there's many different reasons why you might reach for a powder, and I'm including a bunch of different sorts of powders for different uses today. So one of the reasons you might reach for a powder is to set your makeup. You might use a liquid foundation and you want to help keep that on all day. If you have combination oily skin like me, you might just want that sort of setting powder to help lock everything in. You might also use a powder for touch-ups throughout the day to help keep the oilies at bay. You might use a powder as a finishing powder as well. So once you've set your makeup, you might want to just help put a powder on that just gives your skin just a beautiful finish. You might want a powder for smoothing. You might also want a powder to use on its own instead of foundation, or something that gives you just a little bit of coverage over a lighter product, like maybe you're using a tinted moisturizer or a BB cream or even a lighter weight foundation, and you just want your powder to give you a little bit of extra coverage as well. Lots of different powders out there, and my favorites pretty much run the gamut there. So I've kind of categorized them into different categories, but I'll explain to you why I love that particular powder and what I use them for as we go. I'm going to start with the most sort of versatile, everyday, standard powder that there is, and it's one that you've seen on YouTube before. It's the Laura Mercier Translucent Loose Setting Powder. This is one that is supposed to be a fairly universal shade to sort of match most skin tones. I would add that that's probably most Caucasian skin tones, but I love this powder. I'll use this as a setting powder. I'll usually press it on most areas of my face, and then I'll brush off the excess with a brush. You can also just sort of pop a little bit on with a brush on its own, and you can also use this one to bake. I think that this is a really nice one to sort of, you know, put on in huge big chunks and let sit on your face to really bake makeup in and then brush it off. It doesn't leave my face looking particularly matte. It's definitely not cakey, and I feel like it sort of just adds a lovely luminosity to my face while at the same time inhibiting oils. Often powders that inhibit oils will leave your skin looking really sort of flat and matte. This is not one that does that. It's just a beautiful powder that doesn't really look detectable on the skin. Beautiful for so many different reasons. Thoroughly recommend. Have repurchased many times. While we are talking about Laura Mercier, I'll move now into powders with coverage, and this is a product that I would absolutely my top favorite powder that I would use in place of a foundation, or also just to give a little bit more coverage. This is the Laura Mercier Mineral Powder in the shade Natural Beige. They have many different shades available, so you should be able to find a pretty decent match. This is a gorgeous product. It's one of those products that when I'm wearing it and I see my reflection in the mirror, I'll stop to go, wow, my skin looks great. What am I wearing today? That's the test of a fantastic face product for me. This is holy grail. It adds beautiful coverage. It smooths fine lines and wrinkles and also pores, and it just has the most beautiful, there's no sparkle in it, but just the most beautiful, luminous, healthy glow. Adore it, love it. I don't use it enough for how much I love it. It's just gorgeous. Thoroughly recommend. Now I'm moving into some pressed powders that give you a little bit of coverage. This one is from MAC. It's their Studio Fix, and my NC25 skin is matched best to the shade C3. What I love about this is the compact, first of all, that you do have a mirror, so good for on the go, and then the actual powder does flip down as well to expose a sponge, so great for touch-ups. But I love that this gives coverage. It's very smoothing, and it does help to inhibit oils as well. You've got to be careful you don't use too much, because you can kind of, the coverage is just so high that it can look like too much on the skin, and it can look a little bit cakey if you're not careful. But I love this. No flashback, looks great in photos, absolutely adore it. Then I have a drugstore equivalent basically of the MAC Studio Fix, and this one is for you Aussies. It's from the brand Australis. This is their Fresh and Flawless Pressed Powder. It is oil-free, fragrance-free, and Australis is also cruelty-free. I'm in the shade Deep Natural. One of the issues with this being drugstore is that I think it's only available in 3 shades, so if you find a match, consider yourself lucky. Very similar packaging to the MAC. You've got the mirror and the sponge underneath, although I think Australis might have updated their packaging for this recently. I'm not sure, but adds a lovely coverage. It does inhibit oils, and I find that it is a nice one, oil-free, nice one for oily skinned girls who want a bit of coverage. 2 others from the drugstore that give you a bit of coverage. Again, another very, very limited shade range with only 3 shades available here from Maybelline. This is the Maybelline Superstay 24-hour waterproof powder. They claim, again, that it does last 24 hours. Don't know, I've never used it for 24 hours. But it is waterproof, and they claim that it gives you flawless coverage and shine control all day long. Resists shine, oil, sweat, heat and humidity. If you can find a shade match, I recommend it. It's nice and thin, so if you were going to take it with you, you certainly could for touch-ups, but if you're going to the pool, if you're going to the beach and you just wanted a little bit of sort of extra coverage or colour on your face, maybe over your SPF or over a tinted moisturiser, and you've got a good shade match, this is a good one. I would recommend it. Again, like the Studio Fix and the Fresh and Flawless, it could possibly get too cakey if you use too much, but if you just use a normal kind of moderate amount, just looks beautiful on the skin, and gives, yeah, a lot of coverage and smoothing as well. Final product that gives a bit of coverage that I really like is also a drugstore brand. This is from Physicians Formula. I'm assuming they're still making this product. Do you know what? I've actually pulled out the wrong one. I've pulled out the light bronzer, but this is the Happy Booster Glow Mood Boosting Powder. They have bronzers and they have powders. I've just picked out a bronzer accidentally instead of a powder, but the powders are beautiful. They add somewhat of a coverage, but just a beautiful glow on the face that's very natural. It's a really nice, I find it's a really nice kind of setting and finishing powder in one. If they still do make this, I do recommend the Physicians Formula Happy Booster Glow and Mood Boosting Powder. I'm going to move on to my favorite sort of, you know, specifically smoothing face powders now, and they are from, first of all, IT Cosmetics. IT Cosmetics makes this powder, the Bye Bye Pores Poreless Finish Airbrush Powder. It is a translucent shade, so one that's going to suit, again, I'll say most Caucasian skins at least, but I love it. It comes in a relatively small container, so I do have to sort of get a brush or a powder puff. It's beautifully smoothing. I also find that it does help keep oils somewhat at bay, and I really quite like it. I have repurchased the IT Cosmetics Bye Bye Pores several times, and I really quite like that powder. And then also Too Faced have a primed and poreless pressed powder. I like this one for on the go. If I'm in a big hurry, I'll just grab a brush to it and I'll just sort of set my face with it. You can just, you know, tap on where you want to be primed and poreless. And this is a translucent or, you know, more universal shade as well. They say that it's a skin smoothing priming powder and finishing veil. So you could use this underneath your foundation. Of course, that's a big hot trend that's been going on for a couple of years now. Maybe started by Wayne Goss, I think. But you could use this as a priming powder and then also to help smooth and set after you've applied. So nice and sort of versatile there. I've got some of those sort of silica type powders now to share with you. I find that these are really nice just setting powders when you don't want to add a powdery look to your skin, when you don't want to add coverage. Maybe you've already got a high coverage product on, or you just want to keep things really nice and light, but you just want to kind of set your makeup. I really like the MAC Prep and Prime. It's a transparent finishing powder. It's just very, very fine. It's one of those, you know, like the Makeup Forever finishing powder, just one of those sort of white silica based, very smoothing powders. I find that this does help to inhibit oil without adding coverage, so I love that. That's a nice staple. I find that the Australis Ready Set Go finishing powder in True Translucent is a nice, reasonable, affordable dupe for the MAC, and I find that this one also helps to inhibit oil, as does their pressed version, the Australis Pressed Ready Set Go finishing powder in True Translucent. I like pressed powder for when you're just in a big hurry and you don't want to make a big mess with loose powder. You just whack your brush in, or a sponge or powder puff, and just sort of go to town. So really nice and convenient there. Okay, before I go on to the glowy powders, this is just a really nice everyday powder. Many YouTubers do sing the praises of Charlotte Tilbury, and I find the brand a little bit hit and miss if I'm honest with you, but the Charlotte Tilbury Airbrush Flawless Finish Skin Perfecting Micro Powder is a really nice everyday powder. It's great for touch-ups, it's great for setting makeup. I'm in the shade 2 medium, and I really quite like it. It's lovely, beautiful rose gold packaging. We do have a mirror and then the powder in the other side, available in a few shades, so if you're lucky enough to find a match, but just a nice one, just a nice easy setting everyday powder that doesn't cake on, doesn't look like a lot of powder on your skin, just a really nice sort of natural finish that does the job that you're wanting it to as a setting powder. And now my last category is sort of the glowier powders. The first one I'm going to show you is one that I just thought, you know, was ridiculous. When I tried it on my hand in the stores for years, I didn't understand why people would pay $100 for it. But over the years, oh my gosh, you know, with enough sort of, you know, selfies, back in the day I took a lot more selfies on my Instagram. This is just the most beautiful thing that you can do for your skin. It's a luxury product. It's from Guerlain. I think it makes such a gorgeous difference to the way that your skin photographs. Oh, it's just beautiful. This is the Guerlain Meteorites Pearls. It's an illuminating powder. They say pure radiance. I've got the shade here, 02 Taupe Beige. They have a few different shades available. They always come out with, you know, holiday collection and limited edition versions. A little bit messy to use, of course. It is a pot of loose pearls. It smells like that classic Guerlain sort of violet scent. Just pure luxury to use, and this is a finishing powder. It's not a setting powder, so I would set my makeup first and then just with a loose fluffy brush just pop this all over. It just gives your skin the most ethereal glow without looking like it's there, without giving you sparkles. Adore, 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 adore. And this would make a perfect gift as well. It's just, you know, a luxury product that someone may not be likely to buy for themselves, but just gorgeous. It makes such a beautiful difference on the skin. Smoothing, illuminating, radiance. Gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous. I'm going from Guerlain, very, very expensive now, to very, very cheap. Again, for you Aussies, this is a brand that can be found in Priceline. This is the Models Prefer Mineral Powder Soft Touch in the shade Soft Focus. They have an illuminating, a bronzing shade, and this I find is just a beautiful shade for my NC25 skin. I'll use this similar to any of these sort of illuminating powders that I'm sharing with you now. Just, you know, a large fluffy brush just all over, like in a 3, what is it, a 3E, E3, whatever. This looks absolutely gorgeous in photos. If you're going to be photographed, you don't want to spend a lot of money on a finishing powder, this over anything just looks smoothing, radiant, absolutely gorgeous. Will make you look like you have perfect skin in photographs. Absolutely beautiful. Be careful you don't put too much on. This can look a little bit cakey if you put too much on, but beautiful if you just use a little bit. Great, 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 great. If you're going to any kind of event, a really nice one. Nice in flash photography as well. Two more products from the radiance enhancing side of things. This is one that's been out for some time. It's from NARS. This was sort of the first powder product, I would say, that I started appreciating finishing powders. I just, again, with flash photography and photography, I noticed a huge difference in how beautiful and radiant and smooth my skin looked with this on. This is the NARS Light Reflecting Setting Powder Pressed. They do have a loose version. I prefer the pressed, and this is, they call it a shade Translucent Crystal, but it's the only one available. There does have like a hard kind of surface at first. So when you first buy it, you're like, oh, I'm not even sure if I'm picking up any powder. You do have to kind of get through that to start working with the powder. It's not detectable on the skin, but it just gives you a beautiful, soft, smooth, illuminated finish. I adore it. It's a beautiful finishing powder, I think, for any kind of skin type. And then the very final one, this also took me a while to work with and fall in love. I remember people asking me when it first came out, and I remember saying, I don't recommend them. I think it's a whole lot of money for not much. But in time, I really have grown to see the beauty, I guess, of the Hourglass ambient lighting powders. I am a huge converted fan. This is the shade Dim Light, which for me is the most sort of neutral shade that I would use in the same way that I use the Models Prefer, the Guerlain, and the NARS. Just a loose fluffy brush to this, all over the face in an E3 type shape, maybe even down my nose, just to give a beautiful, lovely finish with a gorgeous glow that's not shimmery. It doesn't look obvious or detectable. It just helps your skin look better, and better in photos as well. Gorgeous, gorgeous. I will include links and prices to all of these products down below if you can still get them. Sorry if you can't get any of them if they've been discontinued, but they are my absolute favorite powders. Please let me know down below what your favorite powder is. Let me know what you love about it too. I would love to hear from you, and I might just need to check it out if it sounds good enough. So please do let me know. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and also make it a gorgeous day. I hope that you have a gorgeous day, and don't forget that you are absolutely beautiful. And don't forget that so much more important even than looking beautiful is being beautiful. I will see you again really, really soon. Bye.
You're seeing me in